Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is April 1st, and we're going to start today's episode with a major new governance proposal by Val. We're going to talk about the latest GMC grants round that was decided, and we're going to cover some news out of NodeSet. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so we've got a new governance proposal here from Val, and this is RPIP that he's written, RPIP 0, and it says selecting Noshua as involuntary God Emperor of Rocket Pool. It says replace all governance with Val's decrees and methodology for enabling this, despite the proposed God Emperor's desire to not be God Emperor. It says Rocket Pool has at times been criticized for moving too slowly. A significant component is this due to community discussion, consensus building, and compromising, and other such social friction. This RPIP proposes to cut the Gordian knot by simply declaring a God Emperor that will decree our direction. Unfortunately, Noshua, the proposed God Emperor, has publicly declared their lack of interest in this position. To that end, we will select a group of Imperial Inquisitors. These Inquisitors will be in charge of determining and distilling every Imperial whim and desire into proper Imperial decrees. So then there's a specification about how Noshua will be the God Emperor, and how we will have RPIDs, which is Rocket Pool Improvement Proposals. Sorry, RPIPs. We'll have Imperial Decrees, RPIDs, instead of the RPIPs, which is Improvement Proposals. And there's some information about what the Imperial Inquisitors will be able to do and not do, and how the God Emperor may overrule and remove any Inquisitor, and how they can be excommunicated. So there's absolutely nothing that could go wrong with this, and the additional thoughts is, well, we'll talk about that later. But here there's a sentiment poll about this. So it says, after a great deal of thought, I think I finally found a solution to Rocket Pool's governance and strategy issues. Has no downsides of any kind. Please see RPIP 0 draft, and then there's support moving to vote support. So I'm going to, let's have a look at those results. So 77% of people say that this is support moving to this to vote. This is great. Abstain is 15%, and 8%, which is one person, says this is good enough to vote. Dr. Doofer says this accomplishes most of what we need after not adding much work for most of us. If we can move quick, we can get this in soon after Houston. Phil says it lacks a burn mechanism, and then Val says if that's deemed desirable, the God Emperor, the Imperial Inquisitors will be able to implement an RPID. Remember that this sort of thing can be decided in an hour or less after the implementation of RPIP 0. So this is a groundbreaking new governance system that the Rocket Pool community is coming up with, and it looks like people are quite supportive of this going to a vote. So you might be seeing this in a snapshot vote coming soon. Okay, let's get down to some actual business now. So we have results of grants round 10, and here we had the grants. The shift in December says that we've concluded. So this was running from February 12th to March 10th. And for those people who did not receive a reward, please note that they're welcome to reapply. And this begins a 14-day challenge period now, where people can argue against it. But so far, there's not really been any arguing against it. So here are the committees. There's development, research, and marketing. And with the awarded amounts, they're in USD, and they're locked at $31 per RPL. And then there were some changes that happened from the last round. So we're going to introduce a new DeFi subcommittee / process. So if there's any DeFi specific grant application or any kind of application, the GMC, we feel like we're not experts in the matter. So what we'll be doing is making myself and looking for owls, who are 2 GMC members. We'll consult with Jasper and Valdorf, and we'll try to get more details from them about specific DeFi applications. If anyone else wants to join that list, please contact Shifrin, and he can get you onto that list of people who can help with DeFi decisions. With RPIP 40 being approved, the GMC is now going to change its rules on conflicts of interest, which is really great. We really needed that, and also going to have like a better reward schedule. And we should have full staff every round, which is really great. And then with the GMC report that was published, I covered that on Rocket Fuel. and the GMC administrators' compensation was adjusted. So Schifrin got a pay rise from working 3 hours a day to working 4 hours a day for the GMC, and that will increase his pay from $3,750 a month to $5,000 a month. So that's well deserved. Congratulations, Schifrin. So there's a couple of upcoming modifications that are in development. So one of them is the bounty for incentives and the PDAO branding identity. So this is a way of kind of making a barrier between the team and the PDAO, and that's in the process of developing as well, which is really cool. Here we have a list. There was 13 total applications, 3 grants, 0 bounties, and 10 retro rewards. And then there were also 4 that were transferred from the previous round. So there was a total 17 applications. Total grants requested was 57,400. Total retros requested was 149,699. The total amount was 207,000. And total incoming funds that the GMC got this month were 126,000, and total amount of reserves was 1.9 million. So here we can see that these were the ones that were approved. So Epinef slashing mitigator, Schifrin's raffles, support raffles, Halulu's support work, D2 Lilac and Popash's support work, Patch's miscellaneous tasks, Patch's rocket rescue node, Gov Alpha's bounty revamp, Ramana's blockies, Sleety's graphic designs, Lee's educational videos, and then we also had Regex's Buster DeFi sheet, and Long Island Blockchain had got some money for ETH Denver housing, and Halulu got some money for Rocket Scrape. The SSV application was deferred for another month, and then 3 were declined. That was Hashquark's Asian market staking user education, Halborn's infrastructure security assessment, and Arash's Rocket Pool Google AdWords. And then there's a detailed breakdown of all the different applications and what the GMC thought about them, and giving a little bit of feedback. And some of them were just a couple of sentences, and some of them were like, quite a few paragraphs here, which is really cool. And then member participation, all members took place in every round. And in the final round, Rocket Scrape went to a ranked choice because the GMC couldn't agree on how much it should be awarded. And then 100% of the requested amount won, with the second place going to 66% of the requested amount. So people then were just saying thank you and stuff, and that was really cool. So as you all know, the next round 11 of the GMC is already open, and the deadline for round 11, as you can see here, is April 7th. So you've got 5 or 6 days to get that deadline in if you haven't done that yet. So make sure that you are on top of that. Okay, next we have this discussion that took place in trading, which was really interesting. And this was about some flaws in Rocket Pool tokenomics, the existing tokenomics. So here, ZKSJP says, I have a strong bias that tokens, regardless of utility, mostly move with macro and narratives. Is today risk on or risk off? I get there's buy pressure from node operators, but is it realistically enough to offset the 50% of trading of unstaked RPL? Those are the RPL setting the price. And then Jasper says, correct, and this was a flaw in the current tokenomics. Buy and burn does better for constant buy pressure. So Phil Kerr says, how does it do that? And then Jasper says, this was actually a really interesting point. So he says, the current model is net zero buying at best and often negative. When a node enters, they buy RPL to stake and earn inflation. If they exit at the same ratio they came in at, they sell more RPL than they bought, and they walk away with pure profit, and the protocol value went down. In the buy and burn world, the above situation can't happen. A user enters and starts staking, and RPL valuing is immediately net positive because that person will be contributing to the burn. When the user exits, they don't sell any RPL, but they have contributed to the buying of RPL through their rewards. The current model is only net positive to RPL if users top up when they go under 10%. And this has been shown to not actually happen, or they invest ETH gains into more RPL rather than launch new pools. And this hasn't happened much either. And then Jasper explains into ZKSJP's point, the rate of nodes entering and exited is washed out by the daily flow of speculation. in the buyback and burn world, the daily flow is augmented much more clearly. So this is an interesting point that Jasper made about how the burn is actually a net positive on the RPL price, whereas the current staking system is either neutral or negative at times. And then ZKSGP says, this is exactly me. I topped up twice and then I gave up, but I will again with RPIP 30 and other things coming. I would like to get to the point where the rewards fund new LEB4s as fast as possible. And then talking about the buyback and burn, this is, I'm sure that in this proposal, what modeled percent of buy pressure versus daily RPL volume across all exchanges. So this idea that, RPL has, like $2 million a day of volume, we're not going to be buying and burning that amount every day. And I think what happened here is ZKSGP doesn't quite understand how flows work and just thinks of it as a percentage of volume, daily volume. But that's not how flows work. Like if you look at Bitcoin's daily volume, it's like, $5 to $10 billion a day. But then of just a few 100 million of ETF buying can drive up the price so much because it's net positive flows, and flows matter much more than the ratio of the burn as the percentage of the volume. So this discussion kind of went on, and here, Jasper said that I should add that even if you top up, it's still paper value for the protocol. Such a user can wait for the ratio to recover and now sell even more RPL because they bought under that price. And then they said, how much will they add? And Jasper said it will add a fuck ton at larger TVL. And then he says it could be up to $2 million buy side a month. And daily volume is around 5 to 10 million. So that is significant. So if you want to read this discussion, there's some more points that were made. If you want to read those, definitely go and follow the link and check out that discussion. But it really kind of makes me even more excited for the buyback and burn. Okay, there's some big news that came out since yesterday, and this was on the NodeSet Discord, where here they're talking about what the timelines look like for release. And here TJK says, given the timelines, it seems like NodeSet should launch ASAP after Houston to prove the viability and usefulness of the scaling protocol. That would influence the tokenomics discussion, which could take longer. And Ramana said, what does ASAP mean to you? And TKJ says, as soon as they can. And Nick replied, who's one of the co-founders of NodeSet, saying, we are a few months after Houston. We can't audit until Houston is on the mainnet. And then he said, I would personally expect that's something else, about Saturn. And then Terreri says, what are you talking about for NodeSet? And he's saying, no, that Saturn is Q1, Q2, 25. NodeSet, we're looking at July 2024 for Constellation. The Constellation is their rocket pool integration. But Wander then replied, who's also the co-founder, says, no promises, depends on audits and testnet stuff. So the idea is basically that Houston will go live on May 6th. And then once Houston goes live, Constellation will be released on the testnet on Haleshki. I don't know why they can't actually release it before Houston goes live, because Haleshki should be released, I think, next week or the week after on testnet. Houston should be released on the Haleshki testnet next week or the week after. So I don't know why these guys can't release. I guess they want to get audited first. Yeah, okay. I'm just thinking out loud. So the other way that would happen is Houston goes live, then it goes to the audits. Audits will take about 2 months in the best case scenario. Everything comes back clean. Then it will be about a month of testing. So that's where I think the July 2024 number is coming from. I think it might be slightly optimistic because it'll put us right at the end of July 2024 for Constellation if we get everything done in those 3 months. I think it's more likely that it'll be August, but there's a small chance if something doesn't go smoothly on the rocket pool side or on the NodeSet side, that it could be as late as September. But I really think that they're listening to TJK here, and they want to get launched as soon as possible, just so they can show the wider rocket pool community about how beneficial Constellation and NodeSet can be for the protocol, and then kind of make their case. I think another thing that happens as well is, as they bring on, potentially hundreds, if not thousands of validators, in the few months after their launch. And that will be a big voting block that they'll ask to vote in line with NodeSet's interests. And that could be a really big that can impact voting in a really big way on Rocket Pool. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But it looks like July might be best case scenario for NodeSet launch, and then after that it might be as late as August or September. But NodeSet's definitely going to change the game for Rocket Pool. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it's all going to work out. And before that, of course, we'll have Houston, and Houston will give the possibilities of protocol level whale marriages, which is really exciting also. Okay, next we have this post from Invis, and he says, as an April Fool's joke, I enabled wall again. Happy Doom posting. So then the DETH posted with this wall, and there looks like there's a whole lot of liquidity on the buy side, which is amazing, which is really, really cool. But then Invis used it, and then the chart looks different. Like I don't know what's going on here. And then Marketer used it, and again it looks like there's a lot of liquidity on the buy side. And then Cookie Yum used it, and it's showing a whole lot more liquidity on the buy side than but every time the graph looks different. So it's kind of weird. And here Hodger used it, and this is amazing. It's like all buy side liquidity and like hardly any sell side liquidity. So it looks like the price will be moving up really nicely. And then here Hodger says, man, look at all that buy side liquidity. But anyway, it seems like every time someone ran the wall, it was giving different results. So Invis then explained what was going on. He says, imagine standing at the precipice of tomorrow where the boundaries of possibility are constantly redefined. Today, we are proud to introduce an extraordinary leap in predictive technology, the latest update to the wall command. This just isn't an update, it's a vision for the future, meticulously crafted to simulate and map out the latent liquidity that will emerge over time. With each engagement, the wall command transcends traditional analysis, offering dynamic and ever-evolving glimpse into the financial landscapes of tomorrow. But here's where the magic happens. Every interaction with this command alters the very fabric of reality, crafting new timelines where different latent liquidity scenarios are brought to light. This means that each invocation is not just a prediction, but a journey into the potential future uniquely shaped by your interaction. Fear not the fluidity of these forecasts, but the system embodies perfection in simulation. The wall command is not just a tool, but a portal to infinite possibilities, designed with the precision and foresight that are the hallmarks of our brand. In this new era, we're not just reacting to the future, we are actively shaping it, one command at a time. Welcome to a world where every action you take redefines the horizon. Welcome to the future, reimagined. Wow, like that's just poetic from Invis, and just tells you about the amazing abilities of this new wall command. So this is, there's a universe out there where the RPL token has so much buy side liquidity. But yeah, that's really cool. I really like that this morning. Okay, here we've got this the command going crazy, Rocket Watch going crazy overnight with a new a whale basically using their share of credit to spin up a whole bunch of new validators, and there was just literally dozens, if not hundreds of these. So this was really exciting that this person, divided their 16 ETH validators into LEB8s. Of course, with RPIP 30, they're going to be getting outsized returns on their rewards for RPL because of this. And it's really cool that they were literally like, I'm just scrolling and there's just more and more validators coming through. So the result of that is now that we have an overflowing deposit pool by 778 ETH instead of, the multiple thousands of ETH that we had a few days ago. And that wasn't just because of this whale spinning up validators. It was also because of some people burning their RETH and getting ETH back. So that's kind of where we stand. So that was that's pretty nice experience. And here we can see that this person has 143 validators now, and there's a whole bunch of them that are staking active, and the others are staking that are waiting to come online. So there's a 7-day queue at the moment, validated queue, because of so many validators entering the liquid restaking protocols. But this is nice that this person from Dublin did some good expansions of their validators. Oh, and it looks like that they're actually delegating their votes to me. So thank you, whale person. That's really, really cool of you. They've got 80,000 RPL staked as well, so they're well above the minimum. Okay, next we've got this update from Octant. And Octant here says this announcement time. We're making a crucial move at Octant. We're switching from the majority Geth to Nethermind to protect Ethereum's health. Here's why. So they give just an explanation of client dominance as being the threat, a consensus and execution layers, and kind of explaining why client diversity is so important. But this is really cool that they have done this. So let's have a look at where we stand with client distribution now, and you can see that Geth is at 65%, which is really, really great to see. We really want to get that number down as much as possible, like ideally below 33%. But once we get a ref online, and if Aragon can ever become like a daily driver client for the execution layer, then that will get better as well. But in the meantime, this is really, really cool to see. So congrats Octant for taking the health of the network seriously and making that change. And now, thankfully, Geth looks like it's under a supermajority threshold. So even if there was a bug in Geth, it wouldn't lead to the worst possible outcome, just a bad outcome. Yeah, but ideally we want to get that down to below 33% so it doesn't even impact finality. Okay, we got some sad news out of the community a couple of days ago, and this is from Fuiny 7, and the person said that I just got drained by Inferno and I lost $60,000. So they were kind of going back and forth, kind of seeing what had happened. There were an optimistic ether scan, and they said basically what happened is that the person was stealing from multiple wallets, and they signed a banned transaction here from Arbiscan as well, and 30,000 more there. So it was 2 signatures, and it was too late to revoke it, and it was a signature of a specific multi-call. I guess it's over now, so it ended up losing a whole lot. So it's a really big shame that this happened, and I feel really bad for Fuiny. And like I said to you guys, like I always highlight these stories because it feels like almost like a couple of times a week someone in our community is getting hacked for some amount of money, and it's really bad. But please try to be careful about what you interact with, because it's really horrible. So I'm sorry, Fuiny, about your loss, and hopefully it's not too big impact on you, but that's tens of thousands of dollars. I don't see how it wouldn't. Okay, next we had this write-up of the latest max effective balance breakout call number 3, and this was posted by Phil. So they were discussing problems about how are validators consolidated, and how do individual validators upgrade to 0x02, and what will custom ceilings be. So there was discussions here of beacon chain operation, block proposal consolidation, message changes, execution layers initiated, and consolidated additional nodes. And then about moving, they had some discussion about depositing 1 ETH deposit for 0x02 auto compounding and how that's going to look. And they had some ideas basically of how it's all going to work. So this is really cool. I think there was a mention of Rocket Pool here, but yes, here. So here says, block proposal consolidation message change. It says we don't see pools, e.g. Lido, Rocket Pool, and Coinbase, etc., building our infrastructure to help get their messages in. And then with additional notes, they said, assumption most Rocket Pool node operators will consolidate their mini pools, which I think they're right in assuming that. So this was part of a call. Like I said, if you want to listen to the call, it's actually shorter than my previous Rocket Fuel episode, 1 hour and 6 minutes. So if you're super interested in Max EB, then go and give that a listen. Okay, next we got this post from Vitalik, and this is an ETH researcher, and it's saying supporting decentralized staking through more anti-correlation incentives. So I'm just going to give you the 30,000 view picture of this. So the idea is that home stakers tend to be smaller node operators, with LSTs and LRTs being some of the bigger node operators. The idea that Vitalik has here is that the more users who are offline at a given time, the more they will suffer in activity leak. And the idea for this is that solo stakers, like there should be an incentive for being a solo staker and being a small operator, and this is one way of doing that. So you can go and give it a read and have a look at what you think Vitalik thinks. This is really, really early stages, but a few people that I've seen, comment about this on Twitter have already said that they like this idea. Mirror here said, I'm delighted to see your engagement with this issue, and I support the initiative to enhance Ethereum staking decentralization by introducing more anti-correlation. Here, Comfy Gummy says, this is appreciated. And then there were other feedback as well. So give that a read if you're interested. But I guess this would impact Rocket Pool node operators in the sense that if you have, an issue with your local node, then, you won't experience much punishment. But if there's a problem with the Rocket Pool protocol, as if, in such that there was an issue with like the Docker images or something about the smart node stack, then you'd suffer a little bit more basically. So those are some of the ideas that Vitalik shared there, and you can go and read them if you want. Okay, next we had some kind of scary news about like a multi-year infiltration of some Linux open source softwares. So here, this was a XZ backdoor. So this is a SSH, a library of software I think that's used for SSH, which of course a lot of Rocket Pool node operators use for using their client machines to communicate with their nodes. And it seemed like what happened is there was a person, Jia Tan, who in 2021, like so nearly 3 years ago, created a GitHub account, and in that time kind of started adding very small but potentially like massively malicious backdoors and insecurities into different libraries. And what happened was that they were trying to, I guess, gather up all these insecurities and security vulnerabilities, and kind of attack almost every system that's based on Linux, right? Like it could be attacked. And that the way that this was found out was there was a person who was kind of doing benchmarking on their machine and saw that it was taking half a second longer to log into their session than it should have. And this person kind of like had to figure out what was going on and found out that there was this vulnerability that was basically waiting to be used. But yeah, go ahead and read this post if you are interested in finding out the whole story. I don't really have the time to go into it in this episode, but it's pretty scary about what happened. And then here we got yeah, that was it. So yeah, definitely go and give that a read if you're interested in that. Okay, next, as you may know, today is April 1st, so a whole bunch of different stories and articles released about it being April 1st. So here, Vitalik wrote a blog post called Degen Communism, the only correct political ideology. So Vitalik here was talking about like a new system of getting things done, and he calls it Degen Communism. If you're interested, go and give that a read. There were also some other things here. So Jasper shared this about, I think, happy April, I'm announcing that I'll be dropping out of medical school to pursue a full-time career as master of Twitter debates at Lido Finance. My new boss is some guy called Marco8. Anyway, I can't wait to convince everyone that Lido staking all the ETH is good. And then David Hoffman, before Jasper, made a similar joke. It's sad to announce that my time at Bankless HQ has come to a close, but the Bankless mission still burns in my heart. In pursuit of that mission, I'm stepping into the VP of Decentralization at Solana Foundation, stoked to work with Anatoly and Austin Federa on Solana. So, so there was a whole lot of different kind of jokes going around. Actually, now that I think about it, this thing from Val about the governance thing is also a joke. He says, additional thoughts. Obviously, this is a joke and not a real proposal. Thanks, Val. But anyway, yeah, there was a whole bunch of actually practical jokes, I guess, or some kind of like, lying going around social media today. So you had to be on the ball with everything. The meanest one I saw was from James Safart, who is one of the ETF analysts, saying that the Ethereum spot ETFs chances of getting approved are now 99%. I thought that was just cruel. Like I didn't like that one, but some of the other ones were quite funny. So yeah. Okay, so it's the 1st of April, so that means it's raffle time. And here we've got a list of all the contributors in March. So the first one, Sneaky, with 41. I'm second with 33. I really need to up my game and beat Sneaky. But then we got Blue AVM, who's done really well this month with 24. Jasper, consistent with 18. Mig, the nice one, with 12. Chaos with 11. And Samus, he's doing well as well with 11. And Shifrin them with 9. Ramana with 9. And then a whole bunch of others, the long tail, taking us all the way up to 44 contributors, which was really awesome. So what I'm going to do now, as I always do, I copy and paste this into the tool. So let me copy this. And here we have Rocket Fuel contributors raffle. So I'm going to paste it into here. Let's just make sure the list looks good. Yes, it does look good. Yeah, okay. So when I press go, then actually let me change the screen so you guys can see the vote. When I press go, that means that the top 8 people will actually know the top 9. Well, if I win, then the top 9. If I don't win, the top 8 people will get a prize, because of course I'm not going to give myself a prize. So let's go and see what happens. Okay, number 1, woohoo, whack whack attack. Okay, Rocknet, good job. Sneaky, Blue AVM, Ramana, Mig, the nice one. Yokum, good job, Yokum. Shifrin as well. And then Patches, congrats to you all. Samus just missed out. I'm surprised Jasper missed out. But yeah, here you go. We got Rocknet, Sneaky, Blue AVM, Ramana, Mig, Yokum, Shifrin, and Patches as the 8 winners. And of course, there's 2 prizes that go out to Cheers and Wolfie every month. But let's have a look over here with the RPL price to see how much each person will be getting. So the RPL price right now is $30.81, as you can see here on Binance. $30.81. So $100 divided by 30.81, and that equals 3.25 RPL. So that's what you will be getting soon, hopefully very soon. So congratulations to the winners. Okay, next I'm starting something new, and this is called Questions from the Community. And what I'm doing is every Monday, I'm going to take a few minutes at the end of the episode to answer some questions from community members. So here you can ask any questions that you've been thinking about for a long time about Rocket Pool, ideally, but I guess other things too, like crypto related. And if you have any questions, ask them in the Rocket Fuel thread. I'll put out a reminder every week, and then I'll try my best to answer some of these questions, or at least give you an idea of what I think in relation to that topic. So here Socash says 150% goes down to 100%. Are we expecting people to dump the RPL and further drive the price down? So this is in relation to this idea that RPIP 30 has changed the way you can withdraw your RPL, and one of the things that has happened is you'll be able to you won't need to have as much RPL staked, locked at 150%. You'll soon be able to start withdrawing at 100%. And Socash says, will this lead to a crash? So when the community were coming up with RPIP 30, there was a whole lot of modeling going on about people who are price sensitive to RPL, and they're the ones who are most likely to sell, because they're the ones who you will see the price change. The idea was that people who are really high percentages of collateral, they're not going to sell just because a little bit more of their RPL will become liquid. Necessarily, they're the people who believed in the protocol. So yeah, now if you look at NodeSet's critique of the tokenomics stuff, they place a lot of emphasis on the fact that RPIP 30 was responsible for the price action, and I don't agree with their findings, or they can't at least prove that it's not correlation, it is causation. However, I think what's happened is the prices are so low right now that I don't think people will be dumping at these low prices. So there's a chance that we'll see some small amount of selling, but I really don't think that we'll be seeing too much selling. So that's just my opinion on that matter. Let's see, Val here says, when tokenomics, can the devs do something? So the tokenomics, there's a couple of different ideas now that are being pushed around the community. Of course, there's the Val and Samus ideas that seem to have the most momentum, but then we also got a rebuttal from NodeSet with a couple of other people like Evan and Rocknet kind of talking about their ideas of what they think should happen. I'll be honest, I think that the Val and Sam ideas have the most momentum from the community, and right now they're the ones who've made the strongest case. So it looks like that is what will pass potentially, going forwards. However, like when tokenomics, I think this is actually going to be a proper journey going forward. So right now, we're on the forum stage. There's draft RPIPs, but they need a lot of polishing and reworking. So we're at least a month away from having those RPIPs done. I think the NodeSet guys are also planning on writing some RPIPs as well for what they think should happen with the rocket pool to kind of compete with the Val and Samus RPIPs. Now, the soonest I think any of that will come to vote, it will be in May, in about maybe a month or 6 weeks, and then that will run for a few weeks, 2 weeks, sorry, as a vote. And after that, we'll have the community's decision on how we're going forward. Yeah, so if the votes pass by the end of May, then the idea is that those RPIPs will be selected as the roadmap for Saturn, and then we'll have to figure out when those things can happen. So like I showed you all on the forum, there's this idea of breaking down some things that can happen sooner, some things that can happen later, and how all that is going to look. We'll get an idea of that. So in terms of the devs doing something, Langus said that Kane is about 6 weeks away from getting the smart contract stuff ready for megapools. Of course, that doesn't mean that megapools are going to be ready in 6 weeks' time. What that means is they'll be doing internal testing after that. They'll still have to be audited whenever there's going to be a next batch of auditing happening. There'll have to be community testing, all of that. But it looks like the community agrees that megapools is one of the directions that we want to go in, and with that, that's what the team's focusing their energies on right now. And as soon as we get a direction from the community, which should be within 2 months, then we'll have a good idea of what comes next and how that is all going to go. So that is what's happening with that, Valdorf, which of course you already knew all of that. Okay, next we had this comment from Cheers, and he said, I'm very curious about how whales view the current ETH RPL ratio. What are their plans regarding RPL holdings? So I don't really have any insider information from any whales that I've talked to about what they're thinking about RPL, but because they hold in such a big size, it's really hard for them to sell, right? Like if you've got 100,000 RPL tokens, that's worth around $3 million. And it's hard to sell that amount without like significantly moving the market. The slippage is really bad, right? There isn't that much to absorb that amount of RPL. So when it comes to whales and their RPL ratio, I don't think they want to be selling at this ratio. I think most of them did buy either at around this amount. I think Patricio, of course, bought much lower than this. I think Thomas, Marceau, and some others might have bought at slightly higher prices. So I don't think they're at the point, I presume they're not at the point where they want to kind of cut their losses and sell. We've not really seen too much of that happening, but I think they'll probably want to wait for the prices to get better. And then most likely what they'll do is they'll use like CowSwap TWAP, like the time weighted average price. I think that's what it stands for. They'll use TWAP orders. So like every day at 4 p.m., they'll sell like a batch, like 1,000 RPL or something, whatever they want to sell. And then that will happen every day, every 6 hours, 4 hours, whatever they want to set. That's most likely how they'll probably want to sell. Of course, I don't know who will be buying or selling into a potential bull market. I do think, the RPL community, there are a bunch of people who have sizable holdings, whether they're, whales or even as small as octopuses. They'll probably be thinking of strategies of selling out their RPL potentially in the next year or 18 months as the bull market peaks. And finally, we have this question from Ramana. There were some other questions as well, but these are the ones that I'm focusing on today. Is how does the dev team feel about the RPL ETH ratio? So from the conversations that I've had with some of the dev team, like Langers and others, I feel like they don't really look at the price that much. Like on their day-to-day, the way they work, they don't look at the price that much. I don't think, Ramana says that do they feel culpable, disappointed in the PDAO? I don't think really those feelings are that strong. And then are they scrambling to feed themselves? I think that's not the case, because I think most of them have been in crypto for quite a long time. and they've been earning crypto for quite a long time, and the ETH has done really well in that time. So I don't think too many of them are struggling for money. Maybe some of the more recent team members might be feeling that more than some of the more established ones, but I think they're doing okay. So yeah. And then this is Ramana says, you feel like more or less RPL liquidity on chain markets would be helpful. I think liquidity is amazing. Like the more liquidity you have, the better it is. And I think that only helps, right? Like in the short term, it might be that some people sell into the liquidity, but in the long term, having more liquidity just shows that the protocol is more stable, is more legitimate. It definitely adds legitimacy and everything like that. So I think more liquidity is definitely a good thing. I know Ramana is on the IMC, and the IMC is having some of those discussions about adding more liquidity to the protocol on the RPL ETH pairs, or RPL ETH pairs, maybe even. But that's going to be one to keep an eye on coming up. So on that note, everyone, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all had lovely weekends and a holiday that for those of you who celebrate. And I'll be back again tomorrow with another episode of Rocket Fuel. Bye.